All right, let's talk about something that can totally change the game for your career in QA. It's all about the power of language. And no, I'm not talking about Python or JavaScript. I'm talking about the language of influence, the one that takes you from being just another tester to being a trusted advisor.
Does this sound familiar? You're right there on the front lines. You see the big, scary issues way before anyone else does. But then you raise your hand, you wave the red flag, and it feels like crickets. Your insights just get lost in the noise. It is so frustrating. And here's the thing you have to understand. This has nothing to do with how good you are at your job. You're amazing at finding bugs. The real hurdle, the thing that unlocks that next level of influence, is all about communication. It's about how your message is actually received. So let's dive into that shift. We're talking about going from the mindset of a tester to the mindset of an advisor. And trust me, this is way more than just a fancy title change. It's a total overhaul of how you talk about your work and the value you bring. It really boils down to speaking two completely different languages. Tester language is all about the what. It's tactical. It's about bugs and tasks and all the technical stuff. But advisor language, well, that's strategic. It's about the so what. It translates all those technical details into the things that leadership actually cares about: business impact, risk, and solutions. Okay, so let's get practical. How do you actually start speaking this new language? We're going to look at some super specific phrases you can start using like tomorrow to completely change the vibe of your conversations. Just look at this first example with bug reporting. So instead of saying something pretty generic like, hey, the login is unstable, an advisor says, our login crashes are killing new user retention by 23%. You feel the difference there? One is a technical problem. The other is a business crisis that gets people to sit up and pay attention because it's tied directly to money. And that right there is the golden rule. Numbers are the language of business. They just cut through all the noise and opinions. The moment you can attach a real number, a percentage, a dollar amount, any kind of user metric to a problem, you're not just reporting a bug anymore. You're making a business case. And this exact same idea works when you're suggesting improvements. You know, we need more automated tests is something we've all said, but it's kind of vague, right? The advisor approach is laser-focused. Automating these 3 specific workflows could slash our regression testing time by 40%. You see, you're not just asking for stuff, you're proposing an investment with a clear return. So the big takeaway here is this. Your ideas become powerful when you connect them to what other people are measured on. Think about who's in the room. Your product manager? They care about user engagement. The dev lead? They care about team velocity. The execs? They care about the bottom line. You gotta frame your ideas in their language. And this goes for your everyday meetings too. When you start a sentence with, as a tester, you're kind of putting yourself in a little box. But if you just tweak it to, from a quality perspective, the data is telling us, boom. Suddenly, you're not just talking about your role, you're giving a strategic, data-driven insight that the whole team needs. Okay, and here is the final, most important piece of the puzzle. A tester reports problems. An advisor identifies risks and brings solutions to the table. This is the ultimate power move. It shows you're not just a problem finder, you are a proactive problem solver. Now, these phrases aren't just things you pull out of thin air. They're the end result of a whole different way of thinking. So let's pull back the curtain and look at the actual framework that powers this language of influence. We call it the QED framework. It stands for Quality-Focused Experimentation and Development. It's basically a fancy name for a simple, repeatable process to improve quality in a way the entire business can see and understand. And it's really just 3 easy steps. First, you define a problem that's actually worth solving. Not just the app feels slow, but where is it slow and for which users? Second, you design a couple of simple metrics to measure that one specific problem. And finally, you run a small, fast experiment to try out a solution. The whole key is to move fast and iterate. Okay, theory is great and all, but let's see how this thing actually works in the real world. Let's walk through a quick case study of a team that used this exact framework. So let's talk about the team behind the TravelRite app. They had a problem we've probably all seen before. Every time they shipped a new version, the app got buggier, customers were getting mad, and everyone was starting to get nervous. And this wasn't just a hunch. It was a measurable, painful trend. App crashes were jumping by a whopping 15% with every single update. Ouch. So the QA lead, Sarah, she started with step 1, define the problem. She dove into the data and found a baseline. A full 8% of all user sessions were ending in a crash. And even better, she pinpointed that most of them were happening right in the middle of the booking flow.
Now, with the problem clearly defined, Sarah proposed an experiment. She didn't ask for a giant 6-month project. Instead, she got the team to agree to a small 2-week experiment focused only on that booking feature. They just tried 3 tiny things: mandatory code reviews, a few new automated tests for the most common crashes, and running them more often. So what happened? The results were incredible. After just 2 weeks, the crash rate in that specific feature went from 8% all the way down to 3%. And this chart is everything. This is what Sarah showed her stakeholders. It's simple, it's clear, and it's powerful. It's not an opinion. It's cold, hard, data-driven proof that a tiny, focused quality effort delivered a huge business win. That is the language of an advisor. So, we've covered the language, we've covered the framework, and we've seen it in action. Now for the most important part: how do you actually get started?
At the end of the day, this whole transformation comes down to one core idea. Your words create your reality at work. They shape your impact. And that big leap from tester to trusted advisor, it doesn't start with a promotion. It starts with changing one small sentence.
So, I'm going to leave you with a challenge. Just one question to think about. Based on everything we've talked about, what is the one piece of tester language that you're going to change this week? Just pick one. Start there and see what happens.
Hey folks, so I created this video that you just watched using Notebook LM, a tool by Google. But the writings I used to create the video are all my own. So if you scan this QR code, you can download my framework and use it for yourself. It's all free.